It's a great day. My name is Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the #1 business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we are on a mission. And our mission really is to empower. Our mission is to inspire, and our mission is to provide you, that's right, you, the hard-working entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. In this episode, we have the one and only Christopher Hampton. He's in the business, known as CHAMPIAM, by the way. He's in the building. Can't wait to talk about today that you can see clearly when you have a vision. What's that about? What's going on, Chris? How you doing, bro?
I am doing phenomenal. It's a great day to be alive.
Indeed it is, man. Thanks so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Now, I know we're talking about vision today, and before we get started, this might be an obvious question for some, but I'm really curious, what's holding people back from even seeing their vision? I mean, they can go to AI right now and put something in and say, what's my vision? And AI says, here it is. They can go look at TikTok or YouTube and immediately say, wow, maybe I want that. Here's the question. What's holding people back, man, from having a vision and seeing their vision?
I have a quote that says that vision and purpose are the two lenses that you need to see life clearly. The reason why you can't use GPT as your source is because your vision is something that's birthed on the inside of you. It's showing you the potential future of what can be. What you are capable of. Think of it like seeds of greatness. So the vision is based off of who you are, not what someone thinks about you. So when I talk to entrepreneurs and I coach entrepreneurs, the very first question I'm asking them is, what is your why? What are the things that you get joy off of? What are your hobbies? What are things that you can do alone that nobody else can do? That's your superpower, right? And because a lot of times with vision, you have to do the evaluation of who you are and what you have and the resources that God has given you. So when you look at that, we've been given some resources, but we don't use them sometimes because we compare our resources to what someone else has. And we don't get the chance to see who we really are because most of us have fallen into what we call a clone state, where we are looking to clone what other people are doing rather than taking the time in this journey called life to discover who you are. And that's what this life journey is about, is discovering who you are and what you can be. And you spend your life now making that happen. And all the relationships tied to that are tied to that bottom core vision of the life that you see yourself building, and the people that you're going to connect to along the way are the side benefits.
Perfect, man. What do you say to the person that's watching right now says, Chris, I'm not even sure what my vision is. I mean, vision and purpose are one and the same. I'm just not too sure. So this might be an unfair question, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm going to ask it anyway. How does someone take the steps to kind of understand what their vision or purpose really is?
Mm-hmm. So again, vision, I think vision is a little bit different than purpose.
Okay.
Vision is again that clear mental future picture of your preferable future. Purpose is the aim. What are you aiming at? When we say purpose, another word for purpose is the aim. So now that you see your potential future, your purpose and your intent now is to take aim and pursue, right? So vision is what you see, purpose is what you're doing to get to what you see. Now, the question is, how do I get there? Part of that is being able just to do a self-evaluation of who you are. What do you like? I'm learned to be that I can be combative, a great debater. I love to be in conversations. There's a lot of verbal giftings that I have. Well, I have these verbal giftings for a reason. The verbal giftings are going to point me to the vision and the purpose in my life. Now it makes me think now I'm a global teacher. I have a motivational platform. So all those Gabby gifts are actually in me to serve me. So you write those things down and then you look at the commonalities, look at some of the things that are pointing you to the direction. If you like debate, you like law, you find yourself attracted to law, maybe you could be a lawyer, but don't limit yourself to just being a lawyer. what can you do on a social platform to advise people across the world? You don't have to lock it into a vehicle. And I think that's one of the problems that we do with vision and purpose. And when we do personality tests and we do occupational testing, is we try to fit you to a vehicle rather than fit into your purpose. When you understand that a vehicle is to take you from one place to another, then you won't be tied to the same vehicle. So a lot of my gifts and talents and abilities would say, Chris, you're a natural teacher. Well, if I was talking to a guidance counselor said, well, you got a natural gift to teach. Let's put you into an elementary school. They would have never thought about a global teaching platform that's reaching the world and raising up leaders. That's a vehicle. Teaching, being a school teacher is a vehicle. Look at all the other vehicles that you can fit your gifting, your talents, and ability to, and you find that you have more variety than the garden variety that is given to you.
I love it, man, and it's famous as you are all over the world. There's some people who are watching right now saying, "I have no idea who this guy is." I like what I'm hearing. I'm in the kitchen cooking right now. Someone right now, you're playing in their AirPods in their ears, and they're like, "I don't know this guy, Shay. What is his backstory? Who is this person that's saying what vision is and purpose is, and making sure I'm on the right vehicle? Who is this person?" So, you know the question. We'll slow down, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll speed back up. Don't worry, I'm going to ask them to give you 3 steps. Right, by the way, for folks who might be transitioning, you might be saying, "Wow, I got a vision today, but what if it transitions to something different?" We'll get to that. First, if we can, Chris, take a moment and tell the folks, who are you? What's the backstory that led you to doing what you're doing now?
Oh, I love this story. I don't have enough time to tell it, but hello, my name is Chris Hampton, and it's nice to meet you. And I am the founder of CHAMPIAM, and it's a motivational organization that's designed to help people to discover their vision and their purpose, and to dig deep, as I call it. I love acronyms, and I have DEEP as an acronym where I help you to discover, embrace, and equip you for your purpose and your calling. So we want you to help them live deep, and dig deep into yourself. And whether that's your personal vision, your corporate vision, we help you to walk your way through that. Now, how did I get there? I was like many of you that always dreamed of doing what I'm doing right now, but I wasn't doing it. I was living life in the rat race. I had 3 jobs. I was a caretaker for my mother. I was an insurance rep for one of the largest companies that deal with Medicare, right? And then at night, I was a guard, a security guard, because I just needed the extra money for my family. So I was doing 3 jobs, right? And my life was going kind of out like hectic in the pattern. And then I felt a heartbeat that was like this rhythm in my heart on my way home from my night job. And when I went to the hospital, the doctor was like, "Chris, looks like you had a heart attack." And I'm in my 30s, and I'm like sitting in there, and where the normal person is like, "No, it can't be," on the inside of me was screaming, "No, no, I haven't done what I was supposed to do." And as I'm talking to my creator back and forth, and I'm like, well, he's like, "What are you supposed to do?" And I'm like, "Speak." And he said, "What are you supposed to do?" "Speak." "But nobody knows me." And he said, "What are you supposed to be doing?" I said, "Speaking." He said, well, I started giving excuses and saying, "Well, nobody knows my name. Nobody's going to hire me. Nobody's going to do this." And you're showing me this big picture of me being this global teacher. And I'm sitting in a 1-bedroom apartment in the middle of Camden, New Jersey, and it doesn't look like my future. But then from that day in the hospital, I made a point to do what speakers do. I went where speakers spoke. I went and I joined Toastmasters. And I showed up and I said, "My name is Chris Hampton, and I am a motivational speaker." I didn't show up and say, "I am Chris Hampton and I want to be a motivational speaker." I said, "I am Chris Hampton and I am a motivational speaker." From that point on, I started to become a competition speaker and win competitions for the state and grow. And then eventually the brand of Champ I Am developed in me. And I was just on this journey. It has just been one door opening after the other. But the door would not open until you make a decision. And I had to make a decision to get out the rat race, and to live for my health is living in my purpose. Otherwise, everybody was draining from me my life force, and I was never taking my life to go towards purpose. I had to make a decision. And then, 5 years later, here I am. So just hopefully helping you to see in that part. I've been able to speak in India, and I've been to India. I've now I've spoken across the world and then virtually into Indonesia, Africa, Australia, places that I've never thought that I would be in, that somebody knows my name. And remember when I was talking to God, I was like, nobody knows my name. Who, it's funny to look back at that and say, I know people in other countries now that know who Chris Hampton is and knows what Champ I Am is. Could that be you? Could that be you, that the world is waiting to see who you are, but they're waiting for you to make that decision to get off the rat race?
Exciting, man. Thanks for sharing. So inspiring. And, for someone listening that might be thinking, how does Chris overcome fear? Because maybe they know what they want to do, but fear has hold them back. Maybe it's fear they're too old, or fear they're too young, or fear they're not the right person, or fear what people are going to think of them. So I guess the question is, you had to face all this in the face of fear. What would you say to the person that's watching right now and help them overcome fear?
Well, there was three fears that I knew that I was facing that were common fears that most people face. And I'm going to show you how I overcame them with one line. But there was the fear of rejection. And when I realized that, I thought that I knew that I was supposed to be speaking to the world, but I had self-esteem issues myself. It took me, I'm about to turn 50 years old, and I realized I am the sexiest piece of black chocolate that I am now. I'm confident in who I am, right? But I wasn't confident in who I was. So I had self-esteem issues. I had self-image issues. And what I had to realize was, in that spirit of fear of rejection, I had to realize that I'm not made for everybody. And that's okay. I'm made and my voice is meant to be heard by certain people. So when I realized that the people that are rejecting me are just saying that you're not for me. And I said, that's great. Let me hang around the people that are for me. I got over the fear of rejection. The second fear was the fear of failure, because I was a high school dropout. For whatever reason, I dropped out because I was taking care of my mother, but I was still a high school dropout. That looked like a failure, right? But what I had to learn with the fear of failure was, I cannot let the fear of failure stop me, because failure is inevitable. But what I had to do was stop the identity theft that failure was doing to me. Was failure was becoming my identity, where I said, I am a failure. And there's a difference between saying I am a failure and I have failed. Failure is a problem in the process. It never should be an identity. So when I got my perspective right about failure and gave myself the liberty to fail and be, it was funny. I was getting evaluated by one of my leaders at work. And he said, Chris, you know what I like about you? You're a quick fail. And towards anybody hearing that, you'd be like, what? A quick fail. But he explained to me, he said, you're willing to try things that are outside the box. And if it doesn't work, you don't sit there, you shift and you do something else. You're a quick fail, and that's going to be that's going to be part of your success in doing this industry and whatever you do in life. And I said, wow, that's a great perspective on failure. And I learned that, putting it in its proper space. The last fear I had to deal was the fear of success. And nobody ever talks about the fear of success in the way of, what if I succeed? What if I become this global influencer that is bringing change to nations, bringing change to communities? And what happens? Can I survive the success factor? Can I handle the fact that people are now looking to me to help them? Where I have government officials and kingdoms are opening up to me and saying, come into my country. Can I handle that? But then I had to learn to say, what if I do succeed? What if I do succeed? And the lesson that I learned from overcoming the fear of success was this one line: the more I know, I fear less. I didn't say fearless. I said, the more I know, I fear less. So what I've done in these course of these years to help me to embrace success is, I have mentors in my life. I have collaborators like a Shay where I can connect to, and we find common practices that successful people do, and we share it with each other. I don't hang around communities where they're gatekeepers. Life is too short for gatekeepers. So I have good relationships that are going to me. And what all those things are doing, me and Shay will be talking, and he said, I got this camera, this thing, this tripod, this battery pack. And then 2 days later, I'm like, Shay, look what I got. Why? Because what that does is, it's showing me that what someone else is doing is successful, and I can learn from them. I'll take that, and I'm able to do it. I'm sitting in a studio, in my own studio. Why? Because I talk to people, and collaborated with people that showed me the proper way of doing things, and I become better. So again, the key to all your fears is the more I know, I fear less.
So well said. And that's a perfect segue to a segment we have here called Today is My January 1st, as you was breaking down fear. And for those folks that are tuning in for the very first time, you might be wondering, Shay, what in the LL Cool J is today is my January 1st? I'm glad you asked. Today is my January 1st is our personal mantra at the Happy Entrepreneur Show, by the way. It represents a fresh start. It represents a do-over. It means our past, no matter how dark and gloomy that past is, or how bright and sunny that past is, the past really no longer equals the future. And so my question for Chris, and we're going to find out if he's ever had any setbacks. You talked about failures earlier. When you hear those words, two questions. When you hear those words, today is my January 1st, what do you hear? And number two, what was a setback you had in your business or life? And how did you bounce back from it?
Wow, that's two loaded questions because I'm going to challenge the January 1st method because anybody knows me, I am not the New Year's resolution dude. Um, but when I say today is my January 1st, I look at January 1st differently than most people do because January 1st to most people say represents, oh, I'm going to change. But January 1st to me is the day that I step into my next, not wishing that my next was changed because usually I am planning for January in July. I'm glad that we're recording this early right now, but in July, I'm usually getting my vision for what January 1st is happening. So when the new year comes, I don't have resolutions. I have plans that are already in place that are already preparing for my next, that when January 1st comes, I'm stepping into it. So January 1st should be your mark, but you should be changing all the way up to January 1st that when you cross over into that New Year's, you're stepping into something that was already prepared for you rather than hoping that the next will be better. Because until something changes in how you look at your year, January 1st will become just another day. Now, the second
Go
loaded
ahead.
question, do you want to say anything about that?
No, I like it. It's perfect. It's spot on, man. Keep going. I'm all in. I like it. Perfect.
But the second question is, I've come through a lot. One of the things I share about is you got a chance to meet. I'm married to a beautiful woman. Her name is Wandria McCall Hampton. She is the best thing in my life. But she was my wife, and we are now celebrating what 23 years, 22, 23 years is getting there. But our part of our story was in our marriage in the beginning, it was rough. It was a blended family. It didn't work out tight. We got toxic, and we ended up separating for like 9 years. Never divorcing each other, but just separating in that 9 years. Now life goes on, and I call that my wilderness years because I would not trade those 9 years of separation for the world because in those 9 years, that's where Champ I Am was birthed. A lot of things that I came into looking at myself, and we weren't horrible people. You look at us together and say, these are two great people. But we had issues within ourselves that we had to do. And I had to take that wilderness moment and really say, what would I do differently? What is it about me that caused the toxicity that was in there? I can't always blame what she did, but I can deal with what I did. And taking responsibility of that, 9 years later, it came back to the point where we got a chance to say, why didn't we never divorce each other? And I said, if I could do it all over again, I would do it. And we got a chance to do it all over again. And we've been back together now for about, what, 4 or 5 years? And it's been better. It's been better, the best thing ever. And someone would ask me, well, Chris, why wouldn't you want to do it over? Did you feel like you lost the 9 years in between? No, because the maturity is being able to know what you did wrong and fix it rather than trying to find someone else new to experiment it on. I went back to the one that was best for me, and now we're living it and making it work. Why am I saying that? Because there's no champ I am without that wilderness. And sometimes you may be looking at yourself and saying, well, I started Champ I Am in the middle of the wilderness, and it wasn't the perfect place to even start. There's never going to be a perfect time to start your vision. There's never going to be a perfect time to start your purpose and go after your purpose. When's the best time to start? Now. because in that self-evaluation, you look at your whole life and be able to say, what is it that got me to this point? What are the gifts, the talents, and abilities that I have used? What are the people and the relationships that I had misused? And if I had the opportunity to make it right, make it right. And that makes you a stronger person going forward.
Powerful, man. Powerful, man. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for all the difference and the change you're making in the world. You know, one of the questions I like to ask when we have time, because you're so transparent, you're so open. It's one of the things I really most admire about you, man. You are who you are, how you are, and the way they see you now, by the way, which is pretty cool. One of the questions I like to ask when I have some time is, what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given? And I like to frame it for the audience so they're kind of clear. You're not coming off the mountain with the 10 commandments here when I ask you to do that, by the way. You've had a lot of mentors along this journey you talked about. You've read countless books. I'm not sure if you can remember how many books you read anymore. We watch more videos. 10,000 hours in our craft. We probably do that on the weekend with our thumb. So my question to you is, what's one of the best pieces of advice that you ever been given that you want to take what you have and share with the audience?
I think it's one of the things that my bishop told me earlier. He always saw in me the greatness that was in me. And where people want to always seem to elevate greatness before it's time, it could be a setback. And one of the things he had shared to me early in life, he said, Chris, I want you to get to a place where that you never rise up to a place that your character can't maintain you. And that was a hard statement because I wasn't bad then, but he always knew that there were certain things that were in me that would, if I got to a certain level, because of where my character had struggled, it could be the thing that could be bringing me down. And we're seeing that a lot more with leaders in different areas now, where they have risen to a point where they have risen beyond where their character can keep them. But then you look at the effects of that and the people that are affected by that. So I have a lot to accomplish, and I do my best. Not saying I'm perfect, but I am aware of the character issues that I may have, and I want to make sure that I'm constantly working on me, being better on me, and keeping myself accountable in those areas that I need to, that I can be trusted with success.
What do you enjoy most about what you're doing these days? You seem to be having fun. You seem to be walking, as you said, not only in your vision, but serving those that you want to serve. What do you enjoy most about it?
I'm enjoying the journey. I'm really enjoying the journey right now, and I haven't seen. I had someone share this where you lay your resume out, and they're telling you you haven't seen anything yet. And I feel like I've done a lot in the last since 2016 when I started. I've done a lot, and then to hear someone say you haven't seen the best yet, so that lets you know just to enjoy the journey. I'm enjoying the journey. I'm now watching my wife do what she does, and even see her step into the speaking and coaching side, and growing her business. And I just tell her the same thing: just enjoy the journey. We have time. We can't get that back, and I don't want it to be pressure, to feel pressure. When we realize what the purpose is, the pressure kind of dissipates, because you know what, we're just looking at the how, and the how is discovered by those daily, everyday steps. So every day I'm smarter than the way I was before, the day I was before. So that part doesn't bother me. I don't have the agita of what the next level looks like. Every door that's open, I'm walking through, that I'm supposed to be walking to. Every relationship that I'll make to connect to, I value that, and I make sure that I'm feeding that, giving to that relationship. But and that door opens, I'm going to walk through that door too. I'm just going to enjoy the journey and the people that I'm meeting aside. That when I hit to that end, and you see that the end of our assignment's over, the lives that we have touched, we can look back and say, hey, Champ I Am and Chris, they did their thing.
I love it. And you talked about speakers, you talked about coaches, and there's someone out there maybe watching and saying, man, Chris, and don't worry, he's going to get into what he does, but I want him to take a moment and maybe share some advice. Maybe there's an aspiring speaker out there and they're listening saying, wow, I mean, okay, he did it, but that was 2016 to where we are now. What are 3 pieces of advice? And again, ladies and gentlemen, I can ask any question I want. So I'm just curious if he was working with a speaker or a coach now, what are 1, 2, or 3 things he would share with them so they could be able to get their message out, be able to tell their story clearly, be able to get better from where they are to where they want to get to. He only has so much time, but If you had to give those three pieces of advice, man, what would you say to that person out there that's looking for to be a speaker or a coach?
I think before you go out and start spending a lot of money, because there are some, we will take your money. Okay, it's not that if you're going to give the money out, they're going to take it. But I want you to be a good steward of the money that you have. And the first thing that I would say as a speaker, don't focus on the message, focus on building the platform. And the reason why is a lot of times we spend the time saying, well, what's your call to action? Well, I have this story about, you have this one story. You can't build a platform off of one story, but out of a platform will flow many stories. So focus on building the business platform first. And in that, the second point is understanding what your platform is supposed to represent. So if you are a leadership coach, then we need to make sure that your material matches that platform and that identity match. And then that you're also not just speaking to be speaking, but you're speaking for the impact as well. So again, before you start spending money going here and there, you need to ask yourself three questions. What is the core message? What is the platform? What is the core message and values that we represent? And what is the call to action that you want people to respond to? Because you're speaking, and most of the time I'm hearing people speak, they're speaking, but there's no call to action. So you're just having people listen to your story, and you're not in business just to tell your story. You're in the business to be able, hopefully, to impact lives and to challenge them to change and to give them a strong call to action because they want to connect to you. But if you don't have a strong call to action, what are they going to connect to?
Good point. What do they connect to? As we come down the home stretch, this has been amazing, by the way. I love the conversation. I love the clarity that you give. Really, well, before we come down the home stretch, I'm curious. What do you do for fun, man? When you're not out saving the world, you're not out speaking, you're not out traveling around the country and so forth. Like, what does Chris do when no one's looking? What does he do for just fun?
My wife is trying to get me to go on a vacation, and I think we need one. But for fun, I am an orderly chaotic. So I like to go places and not have any structure in what I have to do. I am the person that would be happy just going to a resort and just laying on the lazy river. Okay. So I have no problem because I do so much. I don't have a problem shutting down and having the options. I look for those times where I can just do nothing because I'm thinking, I don't even want to think, just do nothing and just rest. I do in this part of my life want this now that God has answered my question about, letting the world know who I am. I am in a point in this part of my life where I want to start seeing the world that I'm speaking to. So rather than, doing a virtual in Australia, I want to go to Australia. The last thing I'm doing is I'm learning Chinese. I'm learning a new language. So I'm actually in 6 months of me learning how to speak Chinese, and I'm getting there. I can understand what's being said to me. It takes me a while to speak it, but I'm still learning it, and it's a beautiful thing.
Oh man, that is so amazing, man. As we come down the home stretch, we got to have you back, obviously, on the show. A two-part question. Number one, what type of clients are you looking to work with these days, if any? So I'm not sure if your firm's taking on any clients. And number two, how can folks best connect with you over and beyond today? Like, where should they go to stay in this conversation and get to know more about Champ I Am and about all the great work you're doing?
Oh, awesome. It's real easy if you have Apple or Android. I have my new app. It's called the Champ I Am Community app, and it's multiple communities in one app. So I actually speak to the marketplace. I also speak in messages of faith as well. And not only we do motivational, we do leadership. I have multiple communities in one app. So if you want faith, you can speak faith. If you want community, you can go to community. If you want to go leadership, you can go to leadership. We have that app. That's number one. My website is champim.org. The type of customers I'm dealing with, I'm also a speaker coach as well as a leadership coach. So for new speakers, I love to deal with new speakers and emerging leadership speakers. I'm also the founder of the Champ I Am Summit. So we actually do three virtual summits a year where we give leaders and thought leaders the opportunity to impact the world around them in a bigger backyard per se. So young speakers that need help with building their platform, I help in those areas. Also, I'm connected into the non-for-profit space as well. So I also mentor young artists in the city of Camden, New Jersey. So if you're learning how to connect your business to a cause, we can connect, and I can show you many different ways of how to grow your business by impacting your local community too.
Good, man. We'll keep doing the work that you're doing, man. The world needs you, and we need what you're doing so, so much. Thanks for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. Can't wait to see you in person, which I'll see you real soon.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you to viewers for tuning in, by the way, because, well, without you, we don't have a show. So I never get tired of reminding you every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, no matter what's going on in your life, by the way, whether you're so excited you're going to that next level of success, whatever that looks like for you, or whether you've been hit with the punch that you never saw coming. The one thing I do believe is that today is your January 1st. And because of just that one reason alone, I believe your best is still yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, my name is Che Brown, host of the Happy Entrepreneur Show. Make it a great day, everyone. And we'll make some good things happen. We connect again next time. God bless. You keep doing God's work. We out, Pete. Talk to you later, Chris. Bye-bye.